How's it going, NYCFC fans? Welcome to the inaugural episode of NYCFC Fireside, talking about this team, expectations and projections with our guy Juan Carlos, journalist, reporter, new at ESM. We're excited to give you guys the best quality of content that we can possibly offer. But Juan Carlos, let me know, how you feeling today? What are you thinking about this team? Expectations, projections? I'm excited about it.
Well, the team actually is starting to look well. I think before the preseason started, like everything seemed to look a bit dull because all the exits and nothing coming in. But like now with the preseason already like kind of underway and done for, I think we can expect a little like we have a better idea as to what to expect during the season. But confident as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're coming off 2 seasons of MLS Cup caliber play, but like you said, we lost a lot of talent this offseason, right? You lost
Yeah.
Collins, you lose Maxi Morales. Hopefully, Santi comes back, and there are some players here that we're excited about. Talis Magno, obviously, is one of the guys that's going to lead this offense. But I'll ask you this, when you're looking at the departures, who's got to step up right now? Who's the guy that you're like, we need to lean on because losing Maxi Morales is significant. That's a huge blow to our offense and really how this entire team operates. And Collins, obviously considered one of the best defenders in the MLS last year. How do you replace these guys?
That's the thing. I think that every single line has a player that has to step up. If you look at my latest article, I mean, Santi Rodriguez was that person in the midfield. Yeah, we have Keenan Parks, but he's been going through some injury problems. Not saying that he's not going to be a valuable asset, but given the youth that Santi Rodriguez would offer in midfield, I was like, yeah, if Maxi Morales leaves at any point, which is going to be like sooner or later, like Santi Rodriguez was that guy to actually come up with that leadership and take under that responsibility of guiding the midfield.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, someone's got to guide the midfield, right? Someone's got to be the one to step up. Santi probably is the guy. If he does come back and
was the guy. I mean, right now we're speaking as to was the guy because nothing
he is the guy
being officially confirmed, but he is the guy. Let's hope for that. But then in the, a goal. I think that's my biggest or the biggest. Who's gonna step it up? I have Luis Barraza. He's been in the team for about a couple of seasons already. He knows the ins and outs, and as the manager said in the latest press conference, he's like it's a natural progression to actually the number 2 to come as the number 1. But like we had a new goalkeeper coming from Philly, Matt Freese. Also, like he said that he's not here to be a number 2 as well. So who's gonna step up? We don't see. We'll see actually, because NYCFC is gonna come in to a season that's full of competitions. U.S. Open Cup, the Leagues Cup, the new format. So it's gonna be like a summer tournament within the season that also counts as well. So we have the U.S. Open Cup, the Leagues Cup with the Mexican teams with the Liga MX. And now we have the new playoff system, so that's gonna be pretty wild. So we're gonna have a lot of soccer to discuss, and hopefully we'll see good things happen with the team.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can only hope for natural progression for some of these young players. You mentioned Santi as a guy who we hope does come back and lead this offense and continues to lead this offense. But ultimately, you look at guys like Talis Magno. He's one of the guys, top 10 up-and-coming players according to MLS, top 10 left winger. You watch him play, right? The smoothness of his touch, the dribbling, his finishing is developing, it's growing, and things are continuing to just mount in terms of his success. And he's 20 years old, right? He's a youngster. He's super, super young. He's really young. This is a guy who we have ridiculous expectations for. He could be the leader. We talk about Santi, you talk about losing Maxi Morales. I think it's Magno who's going to be the one that steps up and really leads things here. And ultimately, the question is, do you put him at number 10? Do you put him at number 9? Is he your striker? Is he your winger? This is a conversation I think a lot of people are asking.
Okay, so in that aspect, I mean, I've gotten some heat on Twitter for that. But, I believe, in my opinion, given that technical, that touch, that vision that he has to actually find the spaces and find, the crosses, I see him as a winger. I haven't confirmed, but given, some interview that he had before the season ended or right after the season ended, he spoke about the team telling him that they were going to improvise him as a 9 a bit more in the upcoming season. So, given his physicality, I don't see him as a 9. I told you, like, I'd rather see him on the wing because like he's fast. He moves quickly, so like that's an asset that you use down the wing. It's not really as a striker. Of course, you need like a fast striker, but like I feel like you need a more robust, like a more bulky kind of player, and that's a profile that like suits into Thiago Andrade. He's also fast, but he's like a bit
Love
more
that.
bulky. So like I feel like they should really try and put him, Thiago Andrade, as the striker, and like keep Thales Magno on the wings.
I like
So
that
yeah.
concept. That's a good. I think that duo right there, and we saw it a little bit during this kind of spring and really winter. They're doing some friendlies, and you can see that combination is starting to work well, and they're starting to develop chemistry in that role together. But I kind of feel like you mentioned you need a more robust, a more physical presence at striker. The name that pops in my head, this is totally irrelevant to NYCFC, but it's like Olivier Giroud. I love the way that he plays and the way that he can control the ball, possess the ball, and feed it to the wings, feed it off, and then he feeds it and then gets himself into a position to finish. And I think ultimately when you have a guy like Magno, he's so quick and agile with his dribbling. He's able to create space, and he's able to dribble through multiple players, multiple defenders. Being able to lay it off to a guy who is a high probability finisher, like a Giroud, or whether it be like a Thiago Andrade, I think that's kind of what we need. We need a guy that's going to finish those chances and not miss those chances. So you think that Thiago's the guy for that?
I think Thiago's the guy for that. I mean, for me, like he has that profile. I mean, of course, you have to develop maybe all three. Maybe like they put Gabriel Pereira as like the striker. So like we have a really young team. So like yeah, they could use a Thales Magno as a striker, but like for me, like I told you, Thiago Andrade is the guy. Of course, he's being under some fire as well with the fan base because, like, he didn't really feature as much last season. Like, yeah, he has the speed, he has the dribble, but like, he didn't really feature as much. So like, I think this is a season for him to actually also like, on a personal level as a player, to step up. So hopefully he does that and helps the team, and because we need goals, we can have a strong like midfield, like a good defense and a good goalie, but like if we don't win games, like
Doesn't matter.
how's that gonna like affect it?
Absolutely. So, talking about the defense, you lose Alexander Collins, you lose some players there, obviously big shoes to fill. You're looking at Thiago Martins to step up and take over and replace him. Obviously, it's a big ask. And then you have, a new left back, Lenich, I believe it is.
Lineage is one, but I think we're gonna work. I think the fan base and like, or most of the opinion within the NYCFC community, they want Kufre, Brian Kufre.
I like him.
Yeah, they want Brian. Yeah,
From
I
Mallorca?
saw some clips. Yeah, he comes from Vélez. He was on loan at Mallorca
Gotcha.
in Spain, but now he comes to us. But yeah, I mean, given some highlights that I saw from him before he got announced, he's really like he fits into that Callens profile. Callens would like not really his whole career with NYCFC, but mostly towards the end of last season. He started like getting involved in the attack. He was like going up a bit way more, and like if you see that and you take what Brian Cooper like used to do, or like based on the highlights, because he didn't get that much minutes with Mallorca either way. If you see that and you compare both, like I think he fits into that profile. Of course, it's yet to see if the manager like gives him the amount of minutes and the amount of chances for him to like explode that type of like game style that we know, or I know, or I see that he has.
Yeah, it's interesting because the attacking nature of these backs nowadays is a pretty important variable in success, especially whether it's you look at Liverpool and Virgil van Dijk, you look at David Robertson, you look at Alexander Arnold, you look at João Cancelo. So many of these backs are pushing forward and being attackers at the same time and using their physical nature. So Kufre, it's different elements, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're going like, as you say, the soccer players, but like given that I'm a bit of a old generation as well. They're kind of bringing me back to the days of Roberto Carlos, the Brazilian winger. So
Love it.
so you see that speed, that back and forth. They actually like more teams, like you said, like Liverpool, City, like Munich. All of these teams are actually kind of like relying back into that like they're going back into that style, using that defender like as an extra piece in the attack.
Yeah, and it's essential, right? Because you need those guys to cross it in. You need those guys because essentially, if you have a back crossing it in, you have more attacking players in the box, or at least waiting for those rebounds at the edge of the 18. So it all kind of goes back into the strategy. You love to see it. Obviously, we're looking at a formation here that it seems like you're projecting them to kind of have a 4-1-2-2-1. So it's a interesting kind of formation, a 4-3-2-1 rather. So I like the formation. I think that having those wingers, you're having kind of an Alfredo Morales in the CDM role, and then Pellegrini and Keaton Parks. And by the way, people are sleeping on Pellegrini. I'm a big Pellegrini fan. I think that he has great touch, and he should not be considered a winger. He should be considered a center mid or a center attacking mid, because his ability and vision stand out to me. I don't think he has the speed or the presence or the agility, but I think he controls the ball well. He kind of gives me like, I have to think of a player. He doesn't. It's not like Insigne, but he's like a knockoff Iniesta. He's like a knockoff Iniesta.
It's like, oh wow. So he's creative.
He's creative. I think
he's creative. Okay, so listen. I really haven't seen much of him prior to the NYCFC announcement, and even with NYCFC, he barely featured last season. He actually got like released and re-signed with NYCFC. So I was like, when that happened, I was like, why did you sign him? And like, if you're gonna let him go, like, everyone, like as you said, like he's like promising. He has speed. He looked to have some touches, but like we never really saw some of that, like with the minutes that he had with NYCFC last season. But like once he got resigned and given the whole like revamp of the team, we're like, this is the time that we trust him. And like maybe he becomes like the playmaker and like the creator within the midfield. Like you said, he has great touch. He has like good speed. So, if going back to Santi, if Santi doesn't end up returning, which of course I'm saying he does, and everyone is saying he does, it's just a matter of time. But if that were the chance that he doesn't come back, I think Pellegrini has us covered in that area. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and some people have him labeled as a winger. I like him more in that center attacking mid, even more of like a Bernardo Silva type of role. He's kind of roaming. He's roving around the field, finding pockets of space and operating out of those spaces. So that's kind of how I see him maximizing his capabilities. I don't like him on the wing. I'd rather have Magno and Pereira obviously there, and then Thiago Andrade up at striker. So, I kind of feel like this team has potential. I feel as though they're missing a lot of pieces, and they lost a lot of their best players. Goalkeeper's a big one that kind of concerns me a little bit. We have to see what Barraza does to prove his worth, because you're talking about mostly backup. These goalkeepers should not be starting, a lot of them, but that's not to say that they can't elevate their game and get better and improve and become starters. Sean Johnson, losing him is a massive blow. That is, you can't replace Sean Johnson ultimately in this league right now. And I feel as though his growth over time, I remember when he was, fresh to the league and he struggled when he first got to the MLS, but he's become such a prominent face, such a prominent goalkeeper in the league. So I'll ask you this. Do you think, if you had to rank the top 3 biggest weaknesses on the roster right now, what would you say they are?
Weaknesses. I say goal, defense, and attack.
The whole team.
In the mid, the whole team. But like as you said, given that you need confidence at goal, I think that's going to be the main like area that we need to work on as a team. Like, because I'm old school as well, and I think when you have a good goalkeeper, the confidence in the team starts at the goalkeeper. Whether you like it or not, like if you know that your goalkeeper like brings you security and confidence throughout the whole game, you're able to expand a bit more. Because if you're like, he's a bit doubtful, or like, he's been doing a lot of rebounds and stuff like that, you're actually kind of like, we need to go back and help him out. We need to go back and like try to be on defense most of the time because he's not really used to it. All these elements that actually play into like the confidence and the flow of the team. I think the goalkeeper position is the one that's gonna probably like determine the season, because as I told you, like if we don't have, goals are important, but also like not losing games is important as well. So like, it's going to be a tough season.
It is. But like you said, players rise to the occasion. You have to see who really has it. And goalkeepers can be normally are the difference between winning and losing games. That one big save, you go back to the World Cup final with Emilio Martinez making that ridiculous save in the last second. You know what I mean? Like, these are things that are you remember. You remember the Messi goals, but that save won them the World Cup. You know what I mean? So you look at the goalkeeper position, you understand how valuable it is, and losing Sean Johnson is significant. But we can hope for the best here. We're very bullish and optimistic regarding this team and returning to the quality. But, what are your last thoughts?
My last thoughts. I mean, I think like I said in my first article, we need to have patience. We need to be patient this season. Like the NYCFC fan base, they're very loyal. They're very talkative, and they want the best for the team. Coming off from a championship and the rivalry with Philly and the Rebels, they would want. I know they want results. I know they want more signings, but I feel with the team that we have and given the age range, I think we have a few things that we need to cover, but I think it's gonna be enough at least to actually start the process of that next chapter of the team, with the players that we have. So I think patience and hope for the best. But I feel confident that we do make the playoffs. I feel confident that we do score a lot of goals. I feel confident that Thales Magno fills in that number 9 position, and if not, then whoever ends up taking that number 9 role helps us win games. But that's about it.
I think, look, you're right. It's going to take time. This is going to be a process. We're resetting at a lot of positions, but at the end of the day, we have a lot of great talent. We have good coaching staff. We have optimism. We have a good fan base. Everything points in the direction of potential success and rebuilding. It feels like a rebuild, but I think it might be a little bit shorter term than that. I think it might take a couple of games to get our feet under us. It might take a couple of games for the team to develop chemistry with a couple of big players losing and moving on. But that doesn't mean that this team can't be successful and players can't step up and we can't be competitive. So I am very optimistic, my friends. But this is the inaugural episode of NYCFC Fireside. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Make sure to drop a like and subscription as always below in the YouTube. It means a lot to us. A lot more content to come this season, and we are extremely excited. We have exclusive content here on the channel and across all our social media. So make sure you have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.